Hey y'all, I am just so happy to be here with you today. I am actually feeling better. I was under the weather. Yeah, Novid had no business messing with me, but I'm back. So we won't even go into that too deeply. Um, I'm excited because I had this brilliant idea that me, the forgetful one, is going to try to talk about some things off the top of my head, some of my favorite places on each continent. And why it's funny is because from day to day, I can't even remember like why I went in the kitchen. But fiber fog will not get me down, and I know that you will bear with me through this. So stay tuned. Okay, please and thank you. If it is your first time here, I just want to say welcome. I'm so glad that you have graced me with your presence. Absolutely, it is a present to me that you are here. I thank you and I hope you enjoy. This is a safe space, a place of community where I get to share some of my uh, life lessons, some of my encouraging words, and stories about my travel. I've been to more than 50 countries, and that's why I call it Wonderfully Me. This channel is a um let's just say a what is that phrase they use, like a project from my heart. I can't think what to call it, but we're just going to keep it moving anyway. A labor of love, that's it, a project from my heart. So yes, I just want to welcome you to Wonderfully Me. If you are returning, then I want to say welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, fam. I am so glad that you have joined me again. You mean the world to me. Absolutely, you do. So, without further ado, we are going to get into what I'm going to call my 10 favorite places I have visited. I'm going to take a few from each continent. So, bear with me. I say bear with me because we know how it goes. You know, my favorite line, I digress. I tend to digress a bit, but I'm going to try to be kind of quick about this because I feel like, these are places I've been. Unlike a lot of people might, show you a quick snippet. They dancing around a boardwalk somewhere, and they're sipping cocktails and eating fancy foods or whatever. That's not my style of travel. I am a budget traveler. I, would say a backpacker to some degree, except that that backpack tried to break my back. So we will now roll wherever we go. I did have a rolling backpack. Yes, I was gifted. I was on a cruise. See how I digress? I was on a cruise. It left from Fort Lauderdale and went to Italy. And on this cruise, I met these wonderful people on my first day. And the woman had this really nice, and I can't remember her name. Please forgive me, but she was so kind. She had a really nice rolling backpack, and I said, "Oh, I love that." And then she proceeded to tell me how she, used to sell all these different things, and how she, went to China, and this was one of the things she had brought back. Whatever. At the end of this cruise, it was a long cruise. I don't know if it was 15 days, 13. I don't remember. No, it was longer. It was somewhere in between 15 and 20, something like that. It was a longer cruise. Anywho, at the end of the cruise, the night before, not the last night, but the night before the last night. So the penultimate night. You like that word? I learned that word crazy enough, not in the US, but when I was in Peru. But anyway, the penultimate night, I had a knock at my door, and it was her. And she was bringing me her backpack because I had um, admired it. It was a rolling backpack, and it had the wheels, but you could um, tuck the shoulder straps in, and it had a handle pulled out, and you could roll it, and it was the bomb. And I used that thing till it fell apart. I did. Okay, but anyway, let me get back on track because we know I digress. So anyway, um, yeah, I'm going to go over some places that I've been and the reasons why I consider these places to be my favorite. As I said, as a budget traveler, as a backpacker, as a rolling packer, whatever we want to call me now. But as a traveler who's over 50 years old, right? Like I'm not. I mean, I'm for comfort and convenience, but at the budget level, right? Like comfort and convenience. Like I can do some things, but some things I can't. I can stay in a hostel, but I can't stay on the top bunk, right? I'm not climbing up and down, especially when I gotta go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. I be done broke a leg. So it cracked me up because I digress. Let me get to my favorite places. Okay, so let me get started with one of my favorite places in the Caribbean. One of my favorite places in the Caribbean has always been Barbados. Barbados, beautiful water, wonderful people, good food, good time, good music. The vibe is so chill and it's I love Barbados. Like anytime I have a chance to go back, I do. Okay. I love Barbados. It is not the cheapest. Let me say this. This is not like necessarily as budget friendly as a lot of other places could be. Because I feel like you can go to a lot of beach towns in other countries or other islands that are less expensive. But you know, I gotta kind of just go with my feeling. I just really love Barbados. It's like one of my favorite places in the Caribbean. Um, now, um, if I would, but let me think. If I were on a strict budget, where would I go on? Hmm. Hmm. In the Caribbean, the Caribbean really isn't that. It's not necessarily cost effective. Now, let me say this: no matter where you go, if you stay in a resort, you're going to pay more. Period, point blank, right? But if you find like a local guest house, you can save a lot of money. It's like when I went to Jamaica and we stayed there for a couple of weeks. We stayed in the grill, which was I had a phenomenal experience. I'm going to tell you. But we stayed at a guest house, but it was because my friend already had friends there, and so I was able to stay. Yeah, it was, because you kind of have to have an in, right? You need to know people who know people, kind of thing. So if you are lucky enough to have that be the case, then you can go to any island and have a great time. Or if you have family there, how wonderful that would be, right? So yeah, that is my favorite place in the Caribbean. But um, if I'm going to talk uh, the Americas in general, um, I have a really uh, big place in my heart for Ecuador, and I did Ecuador as a budget traveler. I want to be very clear, as a budget traveler. I never stayed any place in Ecuador that costs more than $50 a night. Never. And I had a wonderful time. Most of the times I stayed in hostels because, like I said, it's less expensive, makes sense for me. But along the way, I did stay in hotels on some occasions. I know that when I was in Montanita, which is a very party town. I was younger, but it's a very party town, and I definitely stayed in a hotel. It was a nice little boutique hotel, and the room was really modern, and had everything I needed. It was great, and the price was right. Um, One of my favorite places in Ecuador is Cuenca. Um, it is a very colonial town, and it's not that I'm so much into the whole colonial look or anything like that, but it was. very homey, very, very welcoming, and I appreciated that. Um, but all up and down the coastal area where I when I stayed in places like Manta and uh what was that place called? Puerto. Oh, it's Puerto Lopez. Like the memory didn't fail me. But some places that I stayed in Ecuador, along the coast, were wonderful. Those places were wonderful, and I thoroughly enjoyed them. So yeah, so absolutely, positively, if you have a chance, Ecuador. Um, yeah, that's kind of my favorite place in the Americas. Um, da, 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 da. Of course, I love Peru. I've talked about Peru in other times, but yeah, I'm gonna say that's my favorite place in the Americas. There's so many different places. Banos. If you are a person who's really into um like adventure things like bungee jumping and like hiking and a variety of, not to say that hiking is like an adventure, but more adventurous type activities, you know Banos is great. Banos is great for that. So although I do have a Banos story, okay, maybe this whole segment is not going to be about all the places I love. Let's just break this down into. Okay, I think I bit off more than I could chew because clearly I'm not able to discuss like one place or one or two places in each in a short enough amount of time. So what we're going to do is we're going to call this a series. That's what I'm doing these days. We're going to call it a series. This is the beginning of the series. These are my favorite places, and this is going to be my favorite places in the Americas. Okay? Yes. So we're going to go with that. We'll go with that. And so that way I can have a little bit more leeway because otherwise I'm all over the place and it's going to take way too long. This will be like a 5-hour video, which we don't want. We want a few minutes, a few minutes. So these are my favorite places in the Americas. So I discussed Barbados and I've discussed that I absolutely love, 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 love Ecuador. So many places that I've been, from Guayaquil to Quito to Cuenca to Manta, to Montanita, to Puerto Lopez. Um, I'm sure there were other places I went. I just can't think of the top of my head, but yes, I feel like it's a great place to visit. And because of the fact that you can use the dollar, which is really helpful, it's a great place. It's definitely a great place to go. So we're just gonna in the Americas tour right there. Yes, I do love Canada. I don't want to say I don't love Canada, but I haven't been enough places in Canada. I really would love to visit Nova Scotia at some point. I would love to visit Nova Scotia at some point and Montreal at some point. And then I think I'd be able to give a much better opinion of Canada, right? I've been a few places in Mexico, not many, so it's really difficult for me to speak in depth on Mexico. I like it's at the top of my list to visit Mexico City, so hopefully at some point I'll get to do that. And once I've done that, I'll be able to come back and discuss Mexico City because I've only been to like the real touristy places, so yeah, like it's helpful, but not so much. I mean, a bit, yeah, and so so we're just gonna call this the beginning series, and this is just my favorite places in the Americas, and there are places in the U.S. that I enjoyed. I think that I visited my sister in Seattle a few times, and I've thoroughly enjoyed Seattle. Beautiful, it's breathtaking. The air feels really crisp and clean, and there's so many trees and mountains everywhere you look, and so I really loved that. I visited one of my godkids in Sacramento. I thought Sacramento was a nice little city, you know. I was born in California. So, but I don't know anything much about California. I've only been to like LA and, a few bigger places. I don't really know California that much. I've been all up and down the East Coast, Florida too many times to mention. I haven't yet been really Northeast that much. Like I've never been to like Maine or Vermont, or New Hampshire. Yeah, I've never done that. I've never done that. So there's places for me to see in the US, but I guess if I had to pick a favorite place in the US, I mean, I just would rep for my city. I think New York is great. New York is a great place to visit. So right now, I'm just going to be calling New York, like, you know, I was going to say not the state, but the city. But no. We're going to include, we'll say New York State. New York State rocks. But, um, yeah. So this is the beginning of a series, and yes, disregard that little intro I did when I was talking about it was going to be, all these my favorite places. Because I can't do that. I digress too much. I digress. I digress. And I'm not even mad at myself. It's like I have so many like stories and things stored up in there. Like I've had so many experiences. Like how can I like boil it down and do it in 20 minutes or less? It's really difficult to do that. So I'm not even going to try. I'm just going to say this is part one of a series. I love the whole series thing. And I'm going to do these in playlists so they'll be really easy for you to find. So then you'll be like, you know what? Let me see what she's talking about. Let me see. So this will be my, as far as the Americas go, and I did love Colombia too. I'm going to have to say that. I did love Colombia. I did. I loved Peru. I loved Colombia. I there's so many good things about so many places. Like, it's hard to narrow them down, but I'm still going to stick with my favorite place in the Caribbean as much as, and I did have a good time in Trinidad too. But not the time, but the places and the people and the food. Now the food, now I'm going to say the food in Trinidad is unmatched. Like, I should have turned into a roti or a doubles. Like, for real. Like, and the jerk chicken in Jamaica, come on. Like, I've had jerk chicken in other Caribbean places. Nothing like, sorry. Nothing like the best stuff. The best stuff is, in Jamaica. So there's like good things about every place. Yeah. I'm gonna have to, maybe I need to break it down further. What do y'all think? Somebody tell me in the comments. Should I break it down by like region? Country? Topic, like food or activities? I don't know. I'm not really sure how I should do it. I'm not really sure. Anyway, if you've hung in here with me this long, I want to say thank you, because that shows that you've got an ability to stay on track and stay focused way better than I can. Okay? So thank you for that. It absolutely means the world to me that I get to share my world with you. And I know that I can tell a story in a very sort of all over the place kind of way. It's kind of how I live my life. I don't follow a straight path. It's kind of like, it's kind of me. That's who I am. So anyway, I thank you. I thank you for spending the time with me and the business of YouTube. Listen, if you haven't done so yet, like this video, like it, share it with somebody you know, because they can benefit from some of the things I have to say. I'm sure they might find me a little bit entertaining because I am fun. I laugh at myself, and I hope that you can laugh with me. Okay. And comment below, because I know I get a little off track, but maybe you can help keep me in line. Help me break it down how I should discuss some of these things. But it's like so many things off the top of my head. Like, I don't know what happens. And of course, subscribe. I just need you to subscribe. I'm going to have more videos in a minute. More videos than I have subscribers. I'm going to need some more subscribers. Get on it. Please get on it. Please. And thank you. Yes, that's your job. My job is to put the stuff out. Your job is to share it. How about that? We working together. We working together. It means the world to me that I get to share my world with you. And I always say, do good, do good. Be a helpful presence in this world. It is the most wonderful thing that I get to be of service to others. And I hope you feel the same way. So do good in this world and be better. Be a better version of yourself today than you were yesterday, and an even better version of yourself tomorrow. How about that part? Yes, indeed. Okay. So, with all of that being said, I can say confidently this time, ciao for now, but I'll be back.